Hi, my name is Margaret Carmel. I'm a sophomore political science major, and my topic today is effects on the future of air pollution in China. I picked this topic because I am really interested in environmental policy, and that is something that I hope to go into one day in the future. To start off my presentation, I'm going to start with introducing the problem of air pollution with facts. China is the most populated country, which also makes it one of the most polluted. The population directly affects the pollution rate because there are so many people living in China. It creates more pollution. Air pollution in China has been an issue for decades, and they've been struggling with it since then. Since the beginning, it has always been an issue. Approximately 80% of major cities in China have higher levels of particulates than the World Health Organization sets limits on. The World Health Organization sets limits on how many particulates can be found in your air before you are considered hazardous, and 80% of China's major cities are considered hazardous. You can see China's air pollution from space, so looking at the Earth from space, you can see the pollution over China. Like, that's how prominent it is. The air pollution in China is drifting over to the United States, like specifically California region, which is directly affecting our pollution rates, which means that it's going to affect us in the long run as well. The main cause of air pollution in China is coal production. Coal causes 70% of the country's energy, but also releases 40% of smog, specifically in Beijing. This makes it such a big problem because 70% of the country's energy is a lot to base off just coal, but it also is the most prominent reason of air pollution. China consumes and produces more coal than the rest of the world, which also relates to the fact that 40% of the smog comes from it. From January to October in 2017, China produced 2.85 billion tons of coal, which can only imagine what type of air pollution that put into the world. Another big cause of air pollution in China comes from transportation. Since there are so many people in China, there are also so many vehicles, and the vehicles produce smog and smoke and everything that comes from the vehicle, like parts, that also produces pollution. This is a picture slide. The first picture shows you how populated China is to demonstrate that there are so many people that create so much pollution. The second picture is it's from space, what you could see China like pointing out like Beijing at the top and all the other parts of China. You can see how prominent it is. The picture directly below it is a coal plant in China. You can see the smog and smoke being released from the reactors to be put right into the air. And the picture next to it is the transportation in China, and you can see how many cars and buses there are, which create a lot of pollution for the air and for the Chinese people. The health effects on the air pollution in China is what makes it such a big deal, because the air pollution in China can cause lung disease, cardiovascular disease, asthma, cancer, birth defects, and even death if it gets out of hand. Long-term health effects can take time to develop, which means that going to China for a week will not give you health effects, but the longer and the more people that live there, it's more developed in those people. In Beijing, there is this thing called the Beijing cough, which is a very dry cough which tickles the throat, which is a direct reflection of the air pollution in China's air. Air pollution in China has taken approximately 1.6 million people every year and about 4,400 people a day. That's the death rate in China that's directly reflected to air pollution, which accounts for 17% of all Chinese deaths each year. 17% does not seem like a lot, but with the population that China has, it is slowly taking a toll on their population. Air pollution is also decreasing Chinese life expectancy by 5 years in the northern part of the country, which usually is typically more polluted, versus the southern part of the country, and it is usually more polluted on the coast rather than inland because that's where more people live and it's more populated. Chinese government and politics involving air pollution. In previous years, the Chinese central government never believed nor accepted that air pollution was a real crisis, and it took until 2013 for the government to actually accept that this was a genuine problem, which then the government allotted 275 billion to fix this issue. The public is the reason that this is being a more prominent issue now than it was back then, because people are more aware and more educated on environmental issues, which changes how the government acts. There are court cases that are being brought up upon against the government to sue for failing to take part in this issue because it is directly affecting people's families and their children. There are many risks for the Communist Party if they don't fix this problem, which is another reason why they are fixing this problem, because if they do not fix this problem, people might stop supporting it, which will directly reflect how the Communist Party runs. The Communist Party is trying to make a change, and the mayor of Beijing made a comment that if pollution was still a problem in 2017, he would cut off his own head, which seems very exaggerated and a little much, but it's trying to show that they are really trying to implement a change and that they are not taking this lightly anymore, especially because the president of China claims that he checks the air pollution levels every day, at least once a day, to see if it's rising or lowering and to see where China stands as a country. This is also another picture slide. The first picture is showing you the comparison between India and China with death by bad air or air pollution. India is also a major polluted country, so to see how close that China and India are with the death rate is crazy to see how much they are together. The picture next to it is showing that there is a city with all the smog and smoke from China that you can see visually clear right there how bad it is. The picture below that is a picture of transportation, and it's you could see how blurry it is and how smoggy and smoky it is. You wouldn't want to be breathing in that air. The picture next to it is a woman who's breathing with an oxygen mask because the air is so hazardous to breathe that she doesn't want to be affected by it. Where is air pollution in China heading, and what is the future? Since 2017, China has implemented harsh and severe anti-pollution prohibitions called the National Action Plan. This put a cap on coal production that reduced coal production in Beijing specifically by at least 50%, which also stopped new coal burning plants from starting up. Coal is a major issue in air pollution for China, therefore they control it and then can further and control the air pollution. Putting a cap on coal production may seem like it was an easier idea, but it is so effective that it is literally helping the air so much because people will be able to breathe if less coal. China is also trying to get air pollution under control for the Winter Olympics in 2022. That's their goal at this moment, is to get better clean air before the Olympics, because if they don't have clean air, people might not want to come to the Olympics, which will turn down the draw and the tourism in China. China needs to find more effective ways to produce energy, which is why they're trying to implement solar power. China is extremely ahead of the game in solar power versus other countries because they're trying to find a better way than coal to produce energy to power the country. China has also implemented new equipment for cars to lower emissions because the vehicle emissions has also directly reflected in air pollution. And to conclude with some basic facts, the air pollution problem in China has been a huge problem and will continue to be a huge problem if it's not changed and things aren't really effective or put into effect now. The health effects are really hurting the people of China. It is affecting the population, it is lowering it, and it is affecting the way people want to live there and their way of lives. The government is trying to change the effects it has on their country, and politics has changed the way the government has looked at this problem. The power of the people in China have directly reflected on how the government is going to take action, and since people are becoming more aware and more sympathetic to the issue, it is pushing the government to actually take a stand and do something. The future for China's air pollution problem looks up. It does. It looks like there is a good situation that they can implement, but there are a lot of costs and times that are going to go into it that China has to prepare for before they can fully implement things. But I see a future. Thanks for listening. Bye.